I would love it if you guys could rank your top 5 quarterbacks through 2 weeks of the NFL season. Tom, start us off.
I'm starting us off. All right.
5-1.
5-1. So number 5, I just talked about the team a little bit. I have Geno Smith. I loved what I saw in that Patriots game. The Patriots have a good defense, and they could not run the ball at all. And Geno put the team on his back and won the game. Threw for, 340 passing yards or something, and looked really good. So he impressed me. He's impressed me so far. At number 4, I have C.J. Stroud. I feel like it's kind of crazy that Stroud is probably the most talked about quarterback in the league, but yet no one's talking about how good he's really been. Like week 1, he was amazing in that Colts game, and they won the game, and nobody talked about it because Anthony Richardson made the greatest throw of all time. But C.J. Stroud has been absolutely dealing. At number 3, I have Josh Allen. I think he is. I like week 1. I was like, oh, okay, they're just gonna have to. Josh Allen's just gonna have to single-handedly win the Bills games, and the fact that he can still do that with, if his weapons aren't showing up or the defense isn't doing its job, Josh Allen can just go out there and win you the game all by himself. He'll run it down your throat. He'll throw it through the air. He'll make any receiver look really good. Don't be surprised if he walks away with the MVP at the end of the year. At number 2, I have Baker Mayfield. We just talked about the Bucs at length a little bit. They won a dogfight against the Lions, and Baker just looks super confident, and he's slinging the rock. And like I said, when you need him to, he will single-handedly get the job done. He'll lower his shoulder. He's not afraid of anything. And I love Baker Mayfield. And like I said, the fact that they're doing all this without Canales, which was a big concern of theirs, and not much of a run game, love what I'm seeing from Baker. And at number 1, speaking of a guy playing confidently, it's Derek Carr. I mean, this guy's been which is insane to say, but this guy's been lighting up the league through the first 2 weeks. They walked into Arlington. They walked down the Dallas Cowboys, and Derek Carr has been dealing all season.
So at number 5, I had to give my boy credit, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been awesome through the first 2 games. Is this sustainable? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, a 97-yard touchdown will help you out a whole lot. But I'm impressed with what I've seen from Sam Darnold, the guy that a lot of the NFL has written off prior to this. And for him to be balling out with KOC, that's nice to see. At number 4, I have C.J. Stroud. The numbers may not scream at you just yet, but the control that he's had over these games and when he's made throws, when it matters most, CJ's been an absolute baller to start this season, and he deserves credit for that. At number 3, I'd love to put him at number 1 because he really has single-handedly dominated some games. It is Josh Allen. Josh Allen not only doing it with his arm to an extent, only like 130 passing yards last game. His legs have been a massive weapon. He hasn't turned the ball over, and that's been a big-time theme throughout Josh Allen's career. He's not losing games. Through 2 games, he's not losing games, and at points he's put offenses on his back and won games with his legs. At number 2, I actually swapped yours. I have Derek Carr at number 2 because of the fact that he has only thrown the ball 39 times, and he has had one of the best running games in blowouts so far this season. For me, number 1, the most impressive quarterback so far this season is Baker Mayfield. He has had to put the team on his back, quite literally, because there is 0 run game. Chris Godwin has had his game, Mike Evans has had his game, and Baker Mayfield is playing the best football of his career and looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL without much help from a supporting cast. So, big ups to Baker Mayfield. Shake and bake his back, baby.
Yeah, so I'm surprised there's one guy you guys both left off your list. But at number 5, I had Baker Mayfield. He's been great through 2 weeks.
Whoa. 5.
Yeah, I just think there's 4 guys who've played better on him. They're 2-0. He's been pretty phenomenal, but I don't know. I didn't have any notes about Baker because I figured Tom was going to have a lot of notes and stats about him, so I just have Baker at 5. At number 4, I have Geno Smith. The Seahawks offense may have had some easy games, but Geno Smith is putting this goddamn team on his back through 2 games, and Geno Smith has 0 turnover-worthy plays this year. The only 3 starting quarterbacks who have 0 this season so far are Geno, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Fields. The thing is, Justin Fields has thrown the ball only 43 times. Rodgers has thrown it 51 times. Geno has thrown the ball 69 times and hasn't had a turnover-worthy play yet. So he's just keeping the ball out of harm's way while he's also just – it's not checkdowns. He's slinging that freaking rock, and he's been perfect fitting the ball into tight windows. And the Seahawks just aren't giving him any support. They're 31st in pass and run block win rate. They've had 32.7% of their runs stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And – I just talked about it before, about these play callers dumbing the game down for their quarterbacks. Geno Smith has thrown the second most attempts in the league with no play action, and on those plays, he's still top 10 in EPA per drop back and completion percentage. So Geno is going out there and being asked to win games. It's not like we're seeing with Derek Carr where, yeah, he's been great, but the play calling is assisting him. Geno's getting no support from the run game, from the play calling, and he's going out and winning games. So I have Geno at 3.
I would probably add him.
Yeah. So at number 3, this is a guy who I'm surprised didn't make either of your guys' list. It's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray through 2 games, he has 428 yards. He's 4 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's 7 big-time throws, which is first in the league. He has a 13.2 big-time throw percentage when the next highest in the league through 2 games is 7.7. And that was the question for Kyler after week 1 was, he's not pushing the ball down the field. And then in week 2, I mean, he was by far, to me, the best quarterback in week 2.
Perfect passer.
Yeah, I personally don't, like, it wasn't even close. I mean, that game was over in the first quarter, and he just played a perfect game. We're seeing what he could do extending plays with his leg. He's averaging over 11 yards per carry, which I think his career high before that was like 6.5 or something like that. So he's been elite in the run game, and he's pushing the ball down the field better than, and we saw that one play where he scrambled around and threw it to Michael Wilson and turned around before he even caught the ball. That's just aura that's playing with confidence. And yeah, Kyler's been a top 3 quarterback for me, easy so far. At number 2, I have Josh Allen. Not much has to be said here. Kind of how Kyler's in here, kind of really just based off his week 2 performance for me. It was that good that he had to be in here. Josh Allen is kind of in here this high just based off his week 1 performance. I don't think anyone in the NFL is, I mentioned it with Geno, putting the team on his back. I don't think anyone has had to put on a carry job just like Josh Allen had to do in week 1. It wasn't much in week 2, but they were smoking them out. He didn't have to do much. But in week 1, he put the team on his back and single-handedly won them the game. We know the talent that Josh Allen is. He had to be up here, at least in the top 3. And number 1, we mentioned it. It's Derek Carr. The thing that moves me for Derek Carr is the efficiency. We mentioned it. He's only doing this on 39 pass attempts. To be the number 1 scoring offense the way they are and have as many touchdowns and scoring drives as they do on only 39 pass attempts is just unreal efficiency. He's making every throw. That ball was on a string, 70 yards to Rashid Shaheed. That was nutty. So Derek Carr, he's playing with confidence. To me, he's been the best quarterback in the league so far.
Yeah. Looking back at it now, I definitely would replace Sam Darnold with Geno and maybe put him above CJ. But, yeah, I mean.
Stroud, it just hasn't. He's been good. And I don't think he's really made any mistakes. He just hasn't been. And I guess they haven't really needed him to, but he hasn't,
been super.
It hasn't been, very superhero-y, where, Baker, it's, mad. Baker's putting that shit on. Geno was putting that shit on. Kyler last week put that shit on.
So, my thing with Kyler was the week 1 performance was so underwhelming that, I had to weigh both weeks at least a little bit. So, it was, week 1 was so underwhelming that I was just all right, week 2 was a perfect passer rating. Week 1 was not his best performance ever.
I looked at it week 1, he was really good in the first half when they were up, though. So, in reality, 75%.
He said 75%.
Yeah,
right?
It's not 50, it's 75.
Yeah, that's fair. Geno, you're 100% right. I completely misstepped on that one. Geno Smith has been awesome. He's been great. The emergence of JSN last game, too, that was huge.
So good to see, bro.
I could tell you any JSN owners in Dynasty are probably doing backflips after that game because
I tried so hard, bro. I tried so hard, man.
Yeah.
And it's done now.
Yeah, it's over.
I know.
It's over. The JSN train is fully taken off now. That is completely done and over with. But But yeah, I mean, for me, it was, we were talking about carry jobs. Baker has done that. Baker did that. Carr hasn't really had to carry, but he's been so goddamn efficient that it's hard to leave him off.
I was like, what is he on pace for? So I paced out the yards. He's on pace for like 3,800 yards, which I'm like, oh, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
But 42 touchdowns. Like, it's insane. Baker.
And his pace on like pass attempts is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
like the lowest in a season of all time
I'm like
history
3,800
of any quarterback.
I'm like 3,800 on with 42 fucking touchdowns. It's insane.
Yeah, he's
Baker, one stat I do have, the Tampa Bay Bucks rushing stats. Rashad White has 25 carries for 49 yards. Baker has 8 carries for 55 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best passer and runner on the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And they're 2-0, and he was dealing against the Lions. Yeah.
Yeah, Baker and Geno for me was kind of splitting hairs. I just think Geno's as bad as it's been for the Bucks run game. I think Geno's been asked to like carry a little bit more. So maybe like performance wise, Baker might be a little bit better. But just the task at hand, I think Geno's had a little bit more on his plate. So that was why I went that way.
You talked about like the superhero moments, like CJ's throw to Nico on third
It was huge. No,
was one of the craziest throws I've ever seen in my life. That thing was on a rope. Only Nico had any shot at catching that football.
no, he's
That
been
was
great.
unbelievable.
Stroud and Sam Darnold were. I said in the chat I was debating between
Sam
fucking
was, yeah.
Geno, Baker, Stroud, and Sam
I'd
Darnold,
put
which
Gino
is just
over Sam
nutty.
for sure.
So-
You're 100% right on that one.
Question I'll ask is, we all had Josh Allen, right?
Yes.
So besides Josh Allen, is there anyone you see that is still on this list at the end of your season?
CJ Stroud on my list.
Okay.
I think Kyler could stay in there. I think
Top
Kyler
5
could
quarterback?
stay in
Yeah,
there.
okay.
CJ
Yeah.
Stroud for
It
sure.
probably would.
I think if the Seahawks want any chance of being a legitimate team, Geno has to stay on this list.
I completely agree
Yeah,
with
yeah, I
that.
mean,
So
But
I don't know
can't
if
see
he
that
will.
being
Yeah, I don't know if
sustainable.
he will, but if the Seahawks are going to be a good team, it will be because Geno's
I want
playing
to see
like
them
a
play
top
a good
five
team because their
quarterback.
defense has looked really good.
It has,
And
but they
with
played two
like, yeah, they
fake-ass
play,
teams.
that's why I'm saying, like, let me
Just
see
the
them
O-line,
battle
man.
tested. Yeah,
That's
The
the problem.
O-line's
Yeah, the
so
O-line's probably real
bad,
bad.
bro.
Their D-line has looked great.
Their
As I
O-line's
said, it's
probably been
deep.
the worst in the league so far.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
What I say, they were 31st in both
Yep.
pass and
Which
run win
has to
block rate.
equate to
Yeah.
being the worst in the NFL.
Yeah,
Like
so.
if you're the second worst in both, unless some team is there with 232s.
Yeah, yeah.